the food culture will be considered as ethnic. For example, when a large population of Chinese, there are lots of Chinese in America, moves into the United States and settle in a particular city, such as Chicago or other places, the food they consume and serve to the native population will be considered as Chinese ethnic food in USA. With increased international communications and interactions, such demarcations are becoming less and less distinct, yet there are important issues involving ethnic foods in the United States as well as other countries, just like Spain. Okay, ethnic food safety. Number one is, where did this food come from? The source, the quantity, and transportation. Where did this food come from? If you are at Chinatown in downtown Madrid, for example, where did it come from? Are there any regulations? Are there any concerns about the sources? Think about it. Another is storage and display of the products. Different cultures have different ways of showing their food. Some of them are refrigerated, hanging around room temperature for days. This is the part of the culture. You have to think about these things. Registration and permit of business operations. In my opinion, there's a lot of Oriental food in my experiences. They may not be under registration or permit of business operations. They just get the food and sell it to street corner or something. Preparation of ethnic food by qualified people per personnel. Are there people qualified to prepare ethnic foods? If you want to specialize in this area, there will be a market there for you to generate some preparation practices or how to prepare this food. Serving ethnic food by qualified personnel. Do they know how to have the right temperature, how to cook it? So that is another issue. Serving ethnic food by qualified personnel. And consuming of ethnic food by clients. Some food you have to cook very well to be really safe. Some food you do not. So you have to think about this by how the consumer are supposed to consume the food. Another thing about Chinese, I guess, since I'm Chinese, we have a lot of leftover foods. Sometimes you cook a bunch and you say, okay, how do you deal with the leftover food? Sometimes you have the food sitting around there, and you go party, everything, 12 hours later, and you say, oh, let's eat that food. That food will not be safe. So how to take care of leftover food is a big issue, in my opinion. I think in every country, not just in Chinese. I'm using Chinese because I'm Chinese living in America. Actually, I sometimes go to different places and give a little seminar for some like Chinatown or something. They will have about 20 people from different restaurants and we talk about sanitation and things like that. That's quite important, really, in my opinion. So general hygiene and safety of stored and vegetable foods. Another thing is disposal of waste, excess materials, and general cleanliness of the premise. I was really surprised when I first went to Chicago 30 years ago. I mean, to me, it's very dangerous. The food is hanging around there, car passing by, dust everything. Nowadays, it's much better now. They are concerned about food safety, much cleaner, much more refrigeration. So I think it's a good idea to think about this in your country, in your dealing with different populations. Okay? Another thing is pest control, toilet facilities, and environmental sanitation. When I was visiting Chicago, once in a while you could see dogs and cats just hanging around in the food store. I said, what are these doing there? They're important, they catch the mice. Okay. Alright. An example of extreme cultural differences related to ethnic food. Some culture, extremely hot spice foods, some Indian food, I don't know, it's very hot. But spices are important, they are really good to kill a lot of organisms too. Another thing is some cultures, they eat raw foods. I was in Japan, I was a student in Japan. Well, that was my history. Somebody asked me where are you from? I said, I was born in Hong Kong and finished high school in Hong Kong. I was lucky to get a scholarship and went to Japan to study. So I learned how to speak Japanese. I spent 4 years of my life there. Then I went to USA and stayed in USA. But in Japan, they eat a lot of raw food. So That means they have to be very, very careful to clean things up really, really well. But I can assure you, Japanese are very, very clean. Even though they serve raw food, the foods are very, very well taken care of. So I feel safe. It's a real Japanese store. Okay. Now another thing is unusual animal for food. You will hate if I say this, but in some cultures they eat cats, they eat dogs, they eat snakes, they eat bugs, snails. Certain cat, this is a cat that was supposed to be the origin of the SARS organisms, like the problem. Eat frogs, eat mice, rats, they eat monkeys, horses and bears. I mean, just give you some example of the extreme of cultural differences. And if you are working in this environment, or maybe you work with the United Nations, for example, they will send you to some countries to help them to have sanitation. Then it's good to know this background. Right? Sometimes people actually entrust their life, sometimes with bad consequences, dangerous and unsafe food. That's a fish I'm going to show you later on. It's called a pufferfish. You can die out of the itching eye of a pufferfish. But of course, if you know how to clean the pufferfish, then you will not anybody eat the eye of the pufferfish. Some mushrooms, pick some mushroom and eat it, you can drop that immediately. Some mushrooms are dangerous. So do not just pick any mushroom and eat it. Okay? You must know what you are picking, and you must know how to prepare them so that they are delicious and safe. That's very important. Now some cultures, they like some food really, really, really stinky to foreigners. It's called odoriferous food, such as some foods are called passion fruits, are pretty strong odor. Soup food is a kind of soybean food. It's okay, but pidal is an egg. It's called 100-year-old egg. You take some duck egg and heat it up, put some straw on it, and put it in the basement for 3 months. It will ferment slowly, tastes really good. And then there's some of the food called moon and things like that. So if you go to a different culture, before you taste some food, ask a little bit, what is this thing? Okay? So that is a part of this ethnic food culture. Hong Kong, you have big cities here, but Hong Kong is incredible. This is only about 100 square miles, but they have about several million people living there. Look at the houses. I grew up in Hong Kong, but this is really getting a lot of congestion. But anyway, it's an interesting place that I grew up with. Now there are also some very delicious Chinese foods, but the message is make sure you know that they are well cooked, so that it will be safe. So there are also Chinese food delicious and fine. And Japanese foods are very clean. Japanese like to have sake, and Japanese is a very clean society. I was in Japan for 4 years, and when you go into a house, you cannot wear your shoes. You must take off your shoes and walk into the house. If you walk into the house, they will literally say, get out, because the houses are so clean that they sleep on the floor. And so when they came culture, they have sake. Japanese food are very, very clean. Now, this is a fish that the chef must know exactly where to cut the meat and then serve that meat. We say, if the chef breaks an eyeball of the fish, that eyeball has toxins that it literally can kill people. So when you go to a Japanese restaurant, make sure it's a real good Japanese restaurant. But there's an excellent fish dish. But this is called a puffer fish. It's called a Fung. One eyeball's toxin can kill 4 people. So if you go to exotic places to eat, make sure it's clean and make sure you did the right thing. There's a whole book actually, edited by myself. These are all my friends. It's called Ancient Foods, Science and Technology. Maybe some of you like to start a new course in your university or in your environment. This is a good book to start if you'd like to start a course on ethnic food. So there are some needs to do things like that. This book, Table of Contents, did an introduction and did talk about the rice product. There are more people eat rice than bread in the world, basically. Wheat products, lots of noodles, quick products, you have bread, cake, cookies, pastries, dumpling, all kinds of things. By the way, dumpling is very interesting. Dumpling, you see the dumpling, but you don't know what's inside. So make sure if you eat some dumplings, ask the host, what do you have inside? Did you cook it well? Okay, so there's some concern. Food from different grains and starchy materials, and soil food in the Orient, soybean is very important. There are lots of soil food preparation, they are nutritious, but be careful how they prepare it or where you get that food. There are lots of Chinese meat products, traditional poultry and egg products, and there's seafood products and fruit products and vegetable products. So there are all kinds of food that we need to take care of. There are some fats and oils in the Asian diet. There are different types of alcoholic beverages in China and different countries. There are some, they call it functional food. Chinese functional food is another big area. And there's some cultural aspect of Asian dietary habits that people like to use. Health implication and Asian diet and supplements. I've just used Asian as an example in the different cultures, Arab and whatever culture you deal with. But you will be dealing with different cultures in a big city like in Spain. This is just a population of changes of a US-born, a foreign-born US population. And it started on the 1960s and 50s, but then it's popping up now. This chart that is going up. Foreign-born population top countries in 1960 and 2000. This is just giving you an idea of foreign-born people. In USA, Germany, a lot of German, a lot of Italian, Soviet Union, Poland, Canada, Great Britain, Ireland, Sweden, Austria, Mexican. And all these people come with different food background and food interests. So it's good to know these. Mexico, Philippines, China, Hong Kong, India, Cuba. So you meet a lot of different people in your country too. I'm sure maybe not as big as the USA. The US is really a big melting pot of different cultures and of course the food. These are just statistics of countries, so you can drop those. But this is the food pyramid. Okay, why are we interested, or I am interested in ethnic food? Number one is they are different from the rest of the society. Okay? Number two is it's kind of mysterious how Chinese cook different foods to some people. And they use ingredients unusual and may even be unacceptable to locals. I don't know what constitutes this category in Spain, but in USA, like eating different animals is not kosher, so to speak. Interesting and novel ways of preparing food of that particular culture. Now, different cultures have different tastes, odor, fragrance, texture, and presentations of different countries. You may meet them in Spain, you may not meet them. You may go to China to teach microbiology or something. They're good interesting things. All right? And different custom and etiquette in consuming food. Different cultures have very different ways of doing food. Some cultures has a very religious connotation in ordering food and drinks. Because to have, well, in Western cultures, there are lots of food, but in different cultures, they don't have that much food. So food is very important in certain cultures because of the sources of the food. This is just an example of cherry blossom. In America, we love cherry blossom, but all this came from Japan. One year, actually, in Washington, D.C., they planted about 2,000 cherry blossom trees around some big area. Certainly, they all died because the people taking care of the cherry blossom tree didn't know how to take care of it. So the Japanese sent another 2,000 plants 2 years later. So these are what we call ethnic plants, become very popular in Spain or USA. This is just a cultural thing. Soy milk. There are more people drink soy milk than cow's milk in the world, believe me, because all Chinese love soy milk. It's cheap, it's good. If you heat it up properly, it's a very nutritious food. When I was a kid, I drank soy milk a lot. Tofu is a fermented soybean product, but it's not fermented. So tofu, you make it correctly, you cut it up, and usually you heat it up. I would suggest if you eat tofu, you must heat it up, because tofu is not fermented. There are lots of organisms in tofu. If you do not heat it up, you can fry it too. Now, sufu is different. Sufu is tofu but fermented. You put a lot of spice in, and sufu is safe because no respectable organism will do sufu. So much spices and things like that. So but you don't eat too much. You just eat it along with rice. This is called Buddha's delight. This is a vegetarian food. In China, they like this a lot. It's called Huanzai. Chinese like to eat beans, fermented black beans. Very, very salty. So it's very, very safe because it's so salty that no respectable organism will grow there. Even geese at home will not touch this food. So it's very safe black bean food. Miso in Japan, they like it very much. Miso is a bean paste from soybean paste. When I was a student in Japan, that was the first thing I eat every morning is a bowl of miso. It's very tasty, quite nutritious. And so this is very good food in Japan when I was a student. Natto is a fermented soybean. This is very interesting. This is the soybean with organisms growing there. When you pick it up, you can actually see a string coming out. Those are some polysaccharide of the organism produced on the natto. But in Japan, they like this very, very much too. So when I was in Japan, I ate a lot of these. To make things a little bit worse, so to speak, is people like to eat with raw egg. They put the thing, mix up with raw egg. Well, anyway, this is a risk people take. Buns with stuffing, this is very interesting. In China, they love this very much. They have this bun and they put down pork, meat, or whatever. They usually even know what they stuff this inside there. Better ask your host, what do you stuff in that stuffy buns? We usually steam it. Dumpling with stuffing, this is very popular, very thin of the material, but they have food inside, meat, shrimp, whatever. So this is very, very popular. They put down all kinds of different meats inside, and you cannot see what is inside. It tastes really good. Spring roll is also very popular. They wrap the meat inside and heat it up. But usually, in order to make sure the food is really, really heated well, it will be safe. Unless it's truly fermented food. Straw mushrooms, we eat a lot of this mushroom. Not too many people who study the microbiology of the straw mushroom. Dry fish is very popular in China. Dry fish are okay. They were so dry that microorganisms will not grow them. They're usually salted also, so they are fine. Fish balls, they love fish balls. They mix a lot of fish and stick in the ball. Again, usually dip this in the sauce, the soy sauce or whatever, to kill a lot of the organisms. So this is a safe food. Breaded fish sticks. Well, these things you fry it, so usually it's fine. Smoked eel is very popular, but when you smoke something, it's safe because of the heat and the dryness. So smoked eel is pretty safe. Dry anchovy, this is a little fish, when you dry it. Anything you dry usually is pretty safe because microorganisms, they need moisture to grow. Chinese sausage is interesting too. It's very popular in China. They have a sausage. They sometimes use the intestine as the casing. But things like this, you really, really need to heat it up and cook it well. Dry red pepper, this is very hot. So when you try some ethnic food, don't put a big thing in your mouth. And, try a little bit first if you like it. And you can eat some more. Garlic hot pepper paste, this will be safe. No respectable organism will hang around there. There are lots of types of fruits and lots of food, different foods out there. Say if you peel off the skin carefully. Utensils, this is really interesting. All the way through, people use a lot of different utensils for different purposes. Forks, spatula, chopsticks, cleavers, ladles, strainers, and relays. And so there are lots of different utensils we use to cook. So very lively. It's good. Maybe someday I come here to teach a Chinese cooking class. I did teach a Chinese cooking class when I was in Pennsylvania. Chopsticks. We do not use knife and fork. Chopsticks. There are a lot of different types of chopsticks from different materials. Well, if a little kid knows how to use a chopstick, but you have to learn how to use a chopstick. It's very fascinating thing. You won't believe this food, this tofu, make it into a cake. But then they ferment it for 3 months in the jar. For you, I think nobody would like to eat fermented tofu. The Western culture, they just smell it. I don't want to touch it. But for Chinese, wow, it's great stuff. You should fry it up and it will be really sick. So this lady was very happy to fry stinky tofu. Actually, in China, there's this ban from the cities. You have to go outside of the city in order to sell this food. There's some district in Hong Kong that specialize in this type of food. And this guy has a very long chopstick for frying this special type of product. Dogs, don't worry, in the Chinese restaurant, they eat dogs in China, some places, so I'm not kidding you. Now this dog is clever, isn't it? I'm getting out of here. Oh, this is a very interesting thing. Can you believe that at one time in China that if you use this utensil without permission, you can be put in jail? This is imperial steam pot. I teach cooking, as I said. What happened is you put the food inside the container, but you put this whole thing on top of the boiling hot water. The steam will come through the center and then go into the food and really tenderize and sterilize the food. It's a very, very delicious dish after you finish doing it. It's called imperial steam pot. And Chinese use a lot of soy sauce, different soy sauce. Japanese and Chinese use soy sauce. They use it every day, every year. Sake is very important. Sake is wine, it's a rice wine. And especially Japanese, they like the sake a lot. They have to drink it warm. Or we'll go through this. There's a whole list of different foods from different countries. And then microbiologists study the yeast and mold and lactic acid bacteria of these organisms. And also, we use different substrates to make these foods. And there's some flavoring agent involved. Incidentally, if some of you are really interested in these things, but by the way, if you're interested in any talk of mine, you can make sure you get my email or something. Send me some request and I'll send it back to you. You're my friends, okay? Anybody, his Martha's friend is my friend, Joseph's friend is my friend. And sometimes they can really do some research in our university that we try to see steam the raw material and find out whether it's safe or not. It's much more safer. So we did a lot of research on soil yogurt processing and things like that. So there are lots of P-down is a product that takes a lot of manipulation, but very few people study this scientifically. And this is a tempeh, it's a very famous food, and we had to put the organisms in. And so we are studying this food. Many years ago, we don't even care about it. And we actually make some food in our own lab and then study the organisms involved. And we study the fermentation process, the aging process, make sure that there are no pathogenic organisms in it. Usually these food are free from pathogens because they use a lot of salt and very low pH. And so it's not very important. But this is just studying different types of organisms and different types of treatment. If you are looking for a PhD thesis, this will be a good thing to do. I've done it about a few more slides. So we're studying different organisms and how long they store what organism is coming up. So we're studying different types of foods. Okay, finally, The question is, are there regulations specific for ethnic foods? I would say there's none right now. No, especially for ethnic food. Are there regular inspection of ethnic foods in USA and Italy? I don't think so. In some cities. Are there educational programs for ethnic foods operators? I've done a few of those in my time. Are there language support for speakers of foreign languages? That's very important. Are there microbial specificity for ethnic foods? It is lacking. So if you're interested for the master's thesis or in Spain, there was a good thesis to find out in Chinatown what are the ethnic foods. Are there corrective actions to improve ethnic food operations? No, none right now as far as I can tell. Are there incentives to stimulate better operation of ethnic food establishments? Maybe we should have some more. The last thing is global food safety for ethnic foods. Well, we did all kinds of things, but you can make the total count from 0 to 2 log is low count, from 3 to 4 is intermediate count, 5 to 6 is high count, definitely considered 7 is spoilage. Every time you have log to 7, the food is considered spoilage. When you have 8 to 9, then there will be odor and slime. If you have log to the 10th, we're going to touch it. For fermented food, sometimes it is desirable. Yeah, some culture, some food you have to have 10 to the 6 or 7 as an important mark that the food is fermented properly. This scale is not for pathogenic organisms. Any non-food pathogens are not allowed in cooked food, ready-to-eat food, such as E. coli, etc., and things like that. Again, for food microbiologists, if you have 10 to 100, that we call a low count. This is surface. And 100 to 300 is intermediate count. When you have counts of 300 and above, it's not allowed. Clean it up quickly. So these are my suggestions. This is not a law. Ethnic food, yeah, this is something we can talk about that. So, but this is the same slide, I guess. Anyway, but this is the last slide. Is the world how many people test this? The worldwide market is about 750 million tests per year. Food industry tests more than 20 million tests a year. Routine testing 360 million tests a year. Specific organisms, salmonella, listeria, 60 million tests a year. So there are lots of tests being done, and I think we should do more. I think that is the end of my talk. Okay? Because the boss is here. Just going to keep me up. Thank you very much.